Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, depending on where you're coming from. I'd like to welcome you today to an ANA webinar on the future leaders of the MMIP crisis, advocacy through virtual storytelling and digital arts. We're very proud to present these young ladies. They're very impressive and definitely an apt title that they will be our future leaders. So let's begin. Just a few housekeeping. We are in a regular Zoom and not in Zoom webinar. So you do have the ability to unmute yourself, but if you could please remain muted while people are speaking. And we will, if you have a question, you can unmute yourself at that time, but please stay muted until that time. This webinar is being recorded. It will be available on the ANA website and Eastern Regions Training and Technical Assistance Center website at www.anaeastern.org in approximately 2 weeks. Please mute yourself. Just a reminder again if you aren't already muted, and remain until such time. There will be question and answer sessions at the end of the webinar after our presenters are done. And you can enter questions into the chat box at any time, but we will be asking those questions at the end after the presentations are done. And with us, we have the Deputy Commission for the Administration of Native Americans and the Assistant Secretary of Tribal Affairs with us today. We are very honored to have her. Her name is Hope McDonald Lonetree. She serves as the Deputy Commissioner at the Administration for Native Americans, managing a nationwide discretionary grant program. Previously, Ms. McDonald Lonetree served her people through the Office of the Speaker, 24th Navajo Nation Council on special projects and initiatives that included public safety, public health, and veterans. She has provided expert analysis and guidance as a tribal relations advisor for the U.S. Department of Justice, where she worked with tribal leaders and their communities on criminal justice issues. Her wealth of knowledge and experience in tribal government affairs was instrumental during her 2 four-year terms as councilwoman on the 20th and 21st Navajo Nation Councils. And in case you didn't realize it yet, she is an enrolled member of the Navajo Nation. So welcome, Deputy Commissioner.
Thank you. And as she stated, and my name is Hope McDonald Lonetree, I'm extremely happy to be with you. For my Navajo relatives who may be joining us, Totachini Nishle, Hashkahatso Bashachin, Naafane Edeshiche, Aro Batane Edeshinella. I was born and raised on the Navajo Nation, and I'm super honored to be the Deputy Commissioner at the Administration for Native Americans. It is a pleasure to be with you here today, but before we jump in, let's take a brief moment to pause and remember and honor the victims, all of our relatives and families who are impacted by this crisis. I would like to welcome and thank our Remembering Our Sisters Fellows for the meaningful and hard work they are conducting, raising awareness of our missing and murdered Indigenous peoples crisis and sharing their storytelling. In our last MMIP quarterly newsletter, we shared the link to your stories from the CNAY website and received positive responses from our colleagues here at ACF, congratulating the great work you are doing. Let me also briefly tell you about the Administration for Native Americans and how we support your MMIP efforts, as well as the protective factors of the MMIP crisis. ANA was created in 1974 with the enactment of the Native American Programs Act, as we know here as NAPA, with the mission to improve the economic and social well-being of Native American communities. Our communities are healthier when there are economic opportunities. ANA supports tribal sufficiency by providing grant funding and training and technical assistance to federally recognized Native American tribal governments and Native organizations across the United States, Guam, Samoa, and the Northern Mariana Islands. One of the ways that ANA is advancing prevention of the factors that contribute to missing and murdered Indigenous people is through collaborative implementation of the White House Executive Order on improving public safety and criminal justice for Native Americans and addressing the crisis of MMIP. ANA provides policy review and commentary on ways to address MMIP intersections with homelessness and the risk of homelessness. In 2020, the Administration for Children and Families, the federal agency that ANA works under, released the Missing and Murdered Native Americans, a public health framework for action, which focuses on preventing the factors that increase the vulnerability of Indigenous peoples. The framework was developed in collaboration with the ACF Tribal Advisory Committee and was also informed by other tribal leaders, Native American state legislators, Native American community representatives, Native American youth, federal representatives, and ACF technical assistance providers. ACF is currently developing an MMIP implementation strategy for the framework. And most recently, a product that we are very proud of is the release of the Keeping Us Whole, Preventing Missing and Murdered Indigenous People podcast series. I believe you'll see a link here. ANA and the Health and Human Services Secretary Interdepartmental Council on Native American Affairs, as we know here, is ICNA, and we love acronyms, developed the podcast series to raise awareness, provide prevention resources, and educate listeners on MMIP. The podcast series includes 10 episodes that cover 4 main themes, including preventing violence, protecting our children, protecting our LGBTQ2S relatives, and surviving, serving, and speaking. Podcast episodes include interviews with a variety of speakers, from tribal leadership to federal partners, advocates, members of grassroots organizations, and Native athletes that have all joined together to raise awareness of the MMIP epidemic and identify ways we can focus on prevention and continue the work of keeping us whole and our families safe. Right now, we have episode 1, segment 1 released, and we invite you to listen and we look forward to hearing more from you about the episodes that will be released soon. I also look forward to hearing your stories today in the next hour and learning about the incredible work you are implementing. Please do not hesitate to contact ANA with any questions or information that you would like to share. We are all in this together, and we want to keep our loved ones safe and our communities a place where we can grow together in a safe manner. So again, thank you, and I look forward to the hour that we will spend together.
Nyawa. So that was our Deputy Commissioner for the Administration for Native Americans, Hope McDonald Lone Tree. So now we will jump right into our presentation. This is the Center for Native American Youth, led by Cheyenne Brady. So Cheyenne, do you want to jump in and you can introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Cheyenne Brady. I am a program manager here at the Center for Native American Youth. I want to apologize if there's any background that happens throughout the presentation. We had some emergencies here, and so it's not so quiet, but very happy to be here and excited to spend some time with you all. The Center for Native American Youth is housed at the Aspen Institute. We're a national education and advocacy organization that works alongside Native youth across the country to improve their health, safety, and overall well-being. We believe that all youth deserve to live full and healthy lives, have equal access to opportunity, and draw strengths from their culture, as well as empower each other. We work from an empowerment and culturally immersive approach that includes Indigenous methodologies, and we're often centered around leadership. We were founded in 2011 by former Senator Byron Dorgan of North Dakota. We are considered a policy program here at the Aspen Institute. Currently, we have 9 direct programs with youth, one of which is the Remembering Our Sisters Fellowship that we're gonna talk about today. And in addition, we do a lot of narrative change work, so uplifting Native youth so they can share their voices and create the change that they want to see. We have small staff, five of us plus a consultant. We have oversight of a board of advisors, and then we have a youth advisory board. So we are very much a youth-led organization, youth-led working on behalf and alongside Native youth. Like I mentioned, we're a research and advocacy organization, resource development and exchange. We work to uplift Native youth across the nation in various leadership and development opportunities. They're guiding that youth-led narrative. A couple points of pride for us is that we really truly work to center Indigenous knowledge. We recognize, respect, and celebrate the inherent worth of Native youth and their unique cultures and Indigenous knowledge. We honor the importance of culture, peer-to-peer and intergenerational learning spaces. So we also uplift the elders in addition to our youth. Integration of tribal sovereignty, and again, just prioritizing the voices of Native youth leaders as they collectively represent their communities. We often weave in healing, perseverance, and the uplifting of Indigenous ways of being throughout all of our programming. And so the program we're here to talk to you today about is the Remembering Our Sisters Fellowship. This fellowship had launched last year. And as you know, Indigenous women, girls, trans, and two-spirit people experience violence, sexual assault, go missing, and are murdered at the highest rates of any ethnic group. This epidemic of injustice has become known as the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women, Girls, and Two-Spirit Plus crisis. And so this is the reason that the Remembering Our Sisters Fellowship was created. And it was actually our Youth Advisory Board that noted the need and the desire for youth to get involved and address the epidemic. And so the fellowship is a virtual storytelling and digital arts program that empowers young Indigenous women and femme-identifying leaders ages 18 to 24 to, one, raise awareness, two, honor our sisters and families affected by the MMIP-G2S+ crisis, and push for better policies to address the crisis to protect our women and girls. Fellows, we have 6 fellows, and they are equipped with tools, resources, and a platform to further empower these leaders to advocate for increased visibility and action to end the epidemic, and of course, advance policy to end violence against our Indigenous women, girls, and sisters. So this is our inaugural class. Like I mentioned, they've actually just closed out their fellowship. They started May of last year. They represent all regions across the country. And we're so excited that today we have 3 of them, and they're going to share a little bit about their awareness projects, which I will get to. But I just wanted to recognize and uplift that we have half of them here with us, but the other half, we want to uplift them and their work that they have done as well. And so when we started out the program, we came up with some shared values and community agreements that you can list here. And I just wanted to uplift this because I think it really leans into the support that we try to provide for the youth, but also the recognition that the youth provide for each other as well. And so a little bit about how the fellowship is structured. We start out, the whole application process, et cetera. But the fellows attend what we call Remembering Our Sisters Week. And I have a couple photos that I'll share with you from that week. This was all virtual. So in COVID and pandemic times, we adjusted our programming to be more of a hybrid program, which has actually turned out amazing and has benefited in many ways that we hadn't expected. And so during this week, our fellows were able to hear from individuals in the field, advocates who have been working within this movement for a while. And then they were able to hear from digital art and storytelling experts as well. And then they did a couple trainings on advocacy and leadership and historical trauma and understanding how did we get from where we used to be to where we are now, and then beginning to develop their plan of how they want to advocate moving forward, which is step 2, complete and submit a project proposal. Again, just focusing on those skills. They attended monthly check-ins where again we would bring in that skill development or advocates, again, to share their stories and expertise and guidance and potential mentorship on how to take care of yourself while doing this work and doing the work respectfully. And then, of course, they all created a digital storytelling project, which I'm so excited for the girls to share about. And then a final in-person convening. We were very grateful that COVID had died down and we were able to convene in person, because there's nothing like building those true relationships. And so this is a picture from our hybrid ROS week. Actually, it was all virtual. And as you can see, and in the bottom center is Representative Buffalo, who did a lot of work in North Dakota on Savannah's Act and has been an advocate. So these are the kind of people that we were bringing in for them to share their stories and share kind of best practices. Here is another one with Mr. Eugene Tapahe. He is a photographer. You might recognize the girls, No More Stolen Sisters. So he came in and shared how to, advocate through photography. And one more, Miss Connie Walker was one of the many people who have come in. If you haven't heard of her, I definitely encourage you to look her up, as she has a wonderful podcast that raises awareness and shares the stories of missing and murdered individuals. She's based out of Canada. And so then they got into after this week, they began to brainstorm on what they wanted to do, how they wanted to advocate. So they created project proposals. All the things here: collaboration, engagement, timeline, what are roadblocks that they might see, how they overcome those things. They submitted these project proposals, and then we were able to provide them funding to complete the projects. So these were awareness projects, of course, with support, and examples included podcasts, short films, photo series, interactive websites, videos. You'll get to see a little bit more of the direction that each girl took. And one really awesome thing is that they all had agency to go in any direction that they pleased within this storytelling and digital arts realm. This is from, this was one of our monthly sessions where Miss Agnes Woodward came in and shared, and the girls really enjoyed it. And she advocates across many different mediums and many different platforms. And she's also a family member. And so to see that community and how she has welcomed and provided space for young Indigenous leaders to advocate within the movement and for better policies has been absolutely amazing. One thing that was recognized that I just wanted to share throughout the fellowship was simply taking care of your own self. Self-care was a big thing, because it's hard work and something I want to encourage you all to do as well. And these are things that we often had to check in with each other as a team, as a small community, as aunties, as sisters, as nieces, as we're going throughout the fellowship, and something we continue to do, and that the girls are continue to be reminded of, to take care of themselves, because it is a really tough topic, and it's tough work to navigate through. And here was our in-person convening. We actually went down to Albuquerque and again had some trainings. And one really awesome thing is that the girls were able to develop a list of recommendations, and their systematic recommendations and policy recommendations. The girls recognize that the issue and the epidemic needs to be addressed through a holistic lens. It's not something that just policy might be able to change. It's something that we have to change at the individual, community, and national level. There's multiple changes. So we had some really good sessions here. This is them networking and growing in community with individuals from Pueblo Action Alliance who do some community and grassroots work down in Albuquerque. They also presented their awareness project. So this is one of our fellows, Gracie Aragon, presenting her website. I mentioned they came up with recommendations at this time. I will drop the link to the recommendations in the chat, but here's a quick overview. So they identified core contributing factors, and then they put them into pillars. So you can see the 3 pillars: transforming oppressive systems, strengthening tribal sovereignty, representation and narrative of tribal communities. That's accurate representation and an accurate narrative. And then they came up with a list of underlying factors that you can see and read through there. Again, I will drop the links to the full document so you guys can review and share and advocate alongside with us. At the end of our programming, we often do an evaluation. It's standard practice to make sure that we're creating things that are effective and that the youth are benefiting from. And so here's just a quick quote from one of the fellows from this year. And she said, "Remembering our sisters taught me that I am already a leader. I received encouragement and support of remembering our sisters, fellows, and mentors. They believed in me. My work in the missing and murdered epidemic is making a change. I've made an impact through Remembering Our Sisters Fellowship." And at this time, I want to kick it over to Miss Evan Richardson. She is Housekeeping from North Carolina, and she created a toolkit. The toolkit has been shared widely, but I want to kick it to Evan so that you can I will unshare screen, you can share screen and share a little bit more about your toolkit, what motivated you to go in this direction, and then kind of walk us through it a little bit. And then after that, we'll go on down the line with Cordelia and Lily.
All right, Pilahu, thank you for that awesome introduction. Give me a second while I share my screen. Okay, awesome. So Nahampipi, Kisehahia Mikilekewa, Mima Amachuteyasa, Renapoku Yudokadakuyan, North Carolina Watewa. Good day, everyone. My name is Evan Richardson, but my given name is Kisehahia, which means makes laughter. I'm a proud member of the Housekeeping people, but I also hold ties with the Nansemond community in Virginia. And I am from Hollister, North Carolina, just like my Auntie Cheyenne said. As you can see before you, I have the Using Art for Activism toolkit. And this is the project that I didn't plan on doing for this fellowship, but it's so beautiful how things ended up taking this direction. And it wasn't something I expected, but this whole experience with the fellowship was nothing like any program I had ever been in. So I was surrounded by Native women and Native femmes who have worked in the movement or either just done some type of community building work. And that's basically what this toolkit is. I know my name is on the front of it, but I definitely couldn't have formed it without every single woman that I met in this fellowship and every single one of the fellows and our mentors in it. But throughout the course of the fellowship, one of the most important things to me was to making sure that I was centering the families of our stolen relatives and our stolen relative stories. So I wanted to make sure, how could I take the stories that I was getting and share them in an impactful but respectful way? One of the biggest things in this movement is we get so caught up in sharing our people's voices and making sure we're uplifting them, but sometimes we forget to uplift our own. And making sure that I took care of myself was one of the biggest things that I learned throughout the whole fellowship. And I really wanted to show that in this toolkit was how we can not only use art to do advocacy work, but to heal ourselves, because when we heal ourselves, we heal our communities. And when we heal our communities, we heal entire nations and 7 generations forward and 7 generations back. So I do just want to go ahead and dive right into my toolkit. I won't go over all of it, but I will read a few pages. So it was really important to me to start off with the trigger warning, especially when you're doing any type of MMIW artwork. You never know how it's going to impact somebody. Even something as simple as seeing a red handprint can impact somebody, which was something I had never truly been aware of until I sat down with some people in the movement and they openly told us this. So I always want to be mindful and practice mindfulness in any type of artwork you do for the movement. So I have a general introduction, which is basically what I've said, where this toolkit stemmed from and what to expect while reading it and how impactful art can be in movements like this. One of the most important things when you're getting into advocacy work like this is that you're making sure you're educating yourself appropriately, making sure you're looking at sources by Native people and making sure you're looking at reliable sources, organizations that don't just get information out there, but making sure that they're getting in contact with families and uplifting these people and these voices specifically and not crushing them. But here I have some resources listed, such as books, films, podcasts, different art installations like media-based projects, like the Red Dress Project and things such as podcasts like All My Relations and the Red Justice Project are some really good resources that I've used through the course of this project. But basically, throughout this toolkit, I give historical context to why the MMIP movement is such a big thing and so prevalent today. I feel like if we want to address this movement, we have to see where it's rooted in. And it can be something like the K through 12 education system and how Native people are being taught to young children and how that gets ingrained in them. And then they grow up to still believe these things that aren't true about our people. Or it could start with something like media. There was a study done where men were shown certain pictures, and it shows the signals in their brain that goes off where they see a person and where they see an object. And when they got shown Indigenous women, the signals went off for objects. So how media objectifies our women and how we specifically can combat that. And we can do that through artwork. And that was one of the things that I wanted to highlight. So one of the most important things when you do stuff like this is being mindful of what you're conveying through your artwork. So do you have permission from the family to use these stories? Are you causing more harm by publicizing this with certain symbols like the handprint, bruises, any symbols of any type of violence? And it's really important to remember what the purpose of your creation is. So it's not about a me type of thing. Like, of course, you want your artwork to be shown and shared because that was the point of creation, but you also want to make sure, who am I uplifting through this? Am I causing more healing or more trauma in my community? One of the biggest things I learned throughout the movement and people who work in the movement is that self-care is a form of plays a huge part in our activism. If you're not taking care of yourself, you can't really take care of your community because you can't give from an empty medicine pouch. So making sure that we as fellows always took care of each other and took time to hold space for each other was so extremely important. And that was one of the biggest things that inspired this toolkit for me, was checking in on my sisters to see how their projects were going and see how they were doing mentally, because this is a very draining movement. Sitting there and listening to all these stories, it's important that we hold space for it, but we also have to make sure we're holding space for ourselves and our own healing. So through this entire fellowship, I learned that one of the biggest parts of being an advocate for movements like this, whether it's MMIW work or any type of contemporary issues, is you have to make sure you're taking care of yourself, because when you address that individually, you're not only healing yourself, but you're healing your family, you're healing your tribe, you're healing your entire community, which extends to the greater Indian country. But so I do want to encourage everybody who steps into work like this and spaces like this to make sure you're taking care of yourself, because it is one of the biggest parts of the movement. Whether that be taking time to walk outside, smudging, practicing grounding exercises. But I really just wanted to emphasize that because it was something that I had never thought of until I stepped in this space. So that is something I do want to pass on, and I can drop the link to this toolkit, but all of this was one of the small portions of a greater project known as the Empty Spaces Project. And I will read one of the quotes for my project was, "I could spend a lifetime reading off the names of our stolen sisters, but the empty spaces do all the talking if you take the time to acknowledge them." So basically what I meant by that was to serve as a reminder for people in this movement to keep stories and the victims of this movement and the people left behind at the forefront of the work that we do, and making sure that we highlight and uplift them, because when we uplift one person's voice, we're uplifting our collective voices. But that was some of the most important things to highlight in this movement. I don't feel like I have to tell you guys all the stuff that goes into this movement, whether it's systematic oppression, education systems, how social media directly contributes to the MMIW movement. I'm very happy that I was able to share just a little bit of this, even if I didn't read some of the pages. And I do want to say I do appreciate everybody holding space for each other, especially holding space for me to share some of the work that I've done. I will drop the link in the chat for anybody who wants to actually read through this, but I do want to say Apsaslooke, thank you, and I will pass it on to the next fellow.
Thank you, Evan. And I want to pass it on to Miss Cordelia Fallsdown. Cordelia is from the Apsaslooke and United Keetoowa Band, and I see that there's a typo in my spelling. I'm sorry, Cordelia. But Cordelia has a social media presence, and she was able to lean into her wonderful video and communicative skills for her project. And so Cordelia, I'm gonna stop sharing. I did take a screen grab of your YouTube page here, but I'm gonna kick it to Cordelia.
Good afternoon, everybody. Shordajan, via Marjel Bachberg, via Apsaslooke, via Skamna Wakadak, Hana Wapan, Owapulish, Itchik. Oh. Hi, everybody. My name is Cordelia, and I am a Remembering Our Sisters Fellow. So, first of all, I'm so grateful to be in this fellowship. I remember when I applied and thinking I wasn't going to get in. And when I got the call that there was a lot of applicants, I was thinking, oh, you know, I'm just happy to be considered. I was ready for that moment for me to say that. They told me I got in. And so since then, it's just really been, and not to be over exaggerating, but pretty life-changing, because I learned a lot about myself, and I met some of the greatest people ever through this fellowship. The sisters are part of this fellowship, are some of my closest friends. They're my little sisters, and I talk to them almost every day. And so I'm really happy to be in this space again with Cheyenne and Evan and Lily, and I wish the other two could make, or the other three could make it. But yes, so for my project, I had to really think about why I wanted to be in the fellowship in the first place. And so I had to think about why MMIW advocacy was important to me. And I was contemplating over and over what to do. And I kept thinking, I'm going to do this the wrong way. I might not fulfill this fellowship the way everyone else will. And I was talking to Cheyenne, Brady, and Nikki, and they just simply told me, just tell your story. And so I thought, okay. And my story is how much I have struggled with obtaining the reality of MMIW as a youth. And I'm really happy to be a part of a generation that has the opportunity to do our projects and be our own voice. But when you look at the statistics and everything that goes on around us, it's hard to really grasp the reality of it. And there's been times where I've done research projects in school and even high school where I read about it and I just had to stop, and I would cry, because this is something that, it's not just research, it's like our lives. And so for my project, I did a video on what MMIW is to a youth as a young woman and how we navigate it, and advice for people, for Native people, non-Native people who are working to either bring their own awareness, create their own projects, and basically just highlight conversations of the reality of it. I think that we see these, growing up, I would see these efforts from people that I really looked up to, and I wanted to be in that space too. And then I kind of thought, am I doing this wrong? Because it's really hard. And once I was in spaces with CNAY and fellows and peers that were doing this work, they reminded me, like, no, this is completely normal. And so that's what I wanted to do. And so for my project, I have the video, and it's a quick clip of me and my friend Brittany, who talked about how we take care of ourselves through this epidemic. And so
Maybe while Cordelia does the back end, we can kick it to Lily to share a little bit about hers. Does that sound good, Cordelia?
yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Lily. Hey, Lily.
Whoa.
This is Miss Lily Painter. She is Kiowa in the Winnebago tribe of Nebraska. She created a website actually that is titled Matriarch Medicine. And so I want to do a little precursor here. Here's hers, and she worked to highlight the matriarchs and then also just the women. And I want to kick it to Lily to share a little bit more about your project.
Hey, hi everybody. Keetoowa gya Balgeto Goy Con University of Oklahoma gya Agu. Hi, my name is Bringswater from the River, or Lily. I'm a rising junior at the University of Oklahoma, and I'm studying Native American studies and creative writing with a film minor. I'm a Remembering Our Sisters fellow, or former fellow, maybe. And so when I first started researching what I wanted to do for the project, I, like Evan, had a little bit of a, not turbulent, but I was overwhelmed with the possibilities of what I could have done for a project. And I went a bunch of different avenues. I originally started out with a podcast. I went from a podcast to a web series to some YouTube videos to eventually landing on the idea of a short film. And I had everything ready, got the budget sorted out, got the equipment purchased, and my entire team ended up contracting COVID. They're okay. But everyone that I was going to partner with to try to do this film was suddenly unable to. And I was feeling super frustrated. I got on a call with my sisters in the fellowship and Cheyenne Kippenberger. And I was basically saying, what am I supposed to do now? I feel like this might be like some type of sign that I maybe need to go a different direction. And they were like, just listen to what, like, tell your story, you know, like Cheyenne told Cordelia. And eventually the night that I was supposed to start filming the big film project that I wanted, which was originally supposed to tell the story of like a girl who's navigating, sort of like how Evan described it, navigating empty spaces within the movement, artistically telling that through a lens. I sat down and I was like, I need to make a ribbon skirt, need to de-stress and create something. And so I started putting together this yellow skirt, and I got my camera out and I just started filming the whole thing. And then I put it into a program and, you know, pulled out a really low quality microphone and just started speaking from my heart. And that ended up becoming the kind of basis for what Matriarch Medicine became, which is a space to kind of bridge grief, creation, and honor the lineage that we come from. Specifically the matriarchs of our family, though the video that I ended up producing first was one that honored like my grandfather and was the main person who was, you know, sort of a guiding light for me. And if we scroll down here, we can see that I have some stills from it. So here's the yellow skirt. Yeah. I went through old photos. The narration was about, you know, what it's like to feel, how we continue going on in life after we lose someone, and how do we as individuals and as Native people carry those ancestors and those people we've lost into our everyday lives. And for me, I kind of ran with the notion that everything that, you know, there's a saying, I'm sure many of you have heard it, is like, don't ever cook when you're angry, or don't ever cook when you're upset, because your feelings will go into your food. You're going to make people sick, you know. But it's like that with everything you create. And so for me, I kind of took a spin of, it's like, if I put good thoughts and good memories, specifically memories of the people who I've lost and who we as Native people have lost, into the things that we create, they'll always be with us. And in turn, they're always guiding us and with us as we continue to do advocacy work and even just life in general. And so this video portion of matriarch medicine is really kind of, it's the big topping on the cake for what I want for my project. You know, as an end goal is to tell stories of people and how they've navigated, excuse me, how they navigate grief and their life. But matriarch medicine kind of emerged, it went from the film project to a digital collective after I had showed the video to a few different people. And you can see there's one of the fellows, Evan. But the digital collective portion of it emerged because my project was also originally a photography exhibit. And it kind of, as I was taking pictures for the photography, which you can see in the background of like the header, it's that's actually my mom wearing a red medicine wheel dress and her feather. And we went and took photos for an entire day. As I was taking that, I kind of was looking through them, editing them, and I kind of came to the idea that every picture has a story to tell, but also that these pictures that I'm taking of my mom are going to forever be pictures that I would show, you know, generations after me, and that those pictures aren't just pictures, they hold memories and they hold something very special to us. And so I was able to get 6 people to graciously send me stories and pictures of the matriarchs that have raised them. And they came from all over. Dana right here is from Idaho. Agnes Woodward is, you know, from up north. Evan is from, you know, the East Coast. And so I can just give a quick preview of this one. This was sent to me by a woman, her name is Danae, and she wanted to memorialize her mother and her grandmother. She and her sister, one of them was, you know, stolen from us, and she basically wrote a poem about how her matriarchs have taught her how to cry and grieve and how to survive the big hurt, which is the loss of our women. And I just thought that that was a very powerful avenue for channeling this line of advocacy, because so often I think that in MMIW work, while it's important to focus on advocacy and policy and, you know, all of those avenues, sometimes we forget to provide space for healing and actually processing what all of that is, which is, you know, grief that we carry with us. And so there's an option here for anyone who wants to, any Native woman or just someone who's had a Native matriarch or matriarch in general impact them, to submit a picture and a message to them. I've also had people send in pictures of their of the relatives that they've lost as sort of, you know, like an in memoriam, you know, not an obituary, but, you know, just something where people can see that these women, like, not shirking away from how these women were taking from us, but wanting to honor them. And yeah, I've also included a page of resources, who's the Coalition to Stop Violence Against Native Women, the Urban Indian Health Institute, who have the Our Bodies, Our Stories initiative, Seeding Sovereignty, which is run by Agnes Woodward, which is also a storytelling fellowship. And then, yeah, we have a contact list, any questions you might have if you want to share the stories of your women. We also have an Instagram, you know, it's work in progress, but it'll get there. And those pictures will also go up here. And like I said, eventually there will be a larger base film project for select people to share stories that they would wish to be able to share, stories people are willing to share online, and to people who might want to share in communal grief and healing.
Thank you, Lily. Can you share with us how long the original video is you're making the skirt?
Yeah, I believe it's under 10 minutes for sure. So they're about 10 minutes long. They usually to some music. They just, there's different, there's one work in progress right now about a woman who was taught to cook bread by her great grandmother. And it's like her journey of dealing with the loss of her grandmother while also trying to perfect like her bread recipe. So like just how we carry our relatives with us.
Is there anywhere that they can find that video? I remember
I
watching.
had seen
and
it, yeah.
It's so healing, and I would just encourage you guys to take the less than 10 minutes and watch it if it's available. I'm not sure if it's available anywhere yet, Lily.
Yeah, it will be up soon. I'm just working out some silly YouTube copyright music stuff, and then I'll have the link on my page. So
Okay, maybe
can
we'll send
send
that
that
over
over
to you guys. Yeah, and maybe Dawn or Hope, you guys can share that out because I think it's a really good source of healing. Want to circle back with Cordelia really quickly, and Evan. I know they're trying to get Cordelia's. She's not coming up with the ability to share screen, and so we might not be able to watch a little bit of her project today. Cordelia, it's not showing up, Cordelia?
I sent it to Evan if she's
Yeah,
able.
I'm gonna try to share it on my end. Just
All
give me-
right, sorry guys, tech, the wonderful world of tech. But while we're waiting for Evan, and Evan, feel free to share. Oh, here we go.
Okay. Hopefully you guys can hear audio. Yeah, you guys should be able to hear audio.
I know when I first began to do my
Can you
own
guys hear?
research
Yeah,
with MMIP, I want to say in middle school and high school, as far as data and what this means for me. I just stepped back and I just cried because I was like, I have to go through this, not even just me, but my mama, my sister, my little sister. And it's scary. It takes a huge toll on your life. When I have a daughter, it's something I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to ever leave. Stay in my house forever. It's one thing, unpacking that and learning it, and then, okay, taking action. I'm motivated because I want a better future I want a better environment for me, my sisters, my mom, my relatives, everybody. But I also want to be just, a better future for, we have a 7th generations model as Indigenous people, how we plan for the next 7 generations to come. And I want my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren to live a protected life. And that's what motivates me to have these conversations and do these projects, because it's so vital, it's so important. Because if not me, then who? At the same time, doing this fellowship, I've had to stop and take a mental health break and bead, or just kind of step away from what I'm reading, because it's a lot. And so if you're going to start your own event, or you're going to start your own campaign, or whatever it may be, you have to take care of yourself. Have different conversations aside from it, because there's a revolution in just living as an Indigenous person, or as a person in general.
Thank you, Cordy and Evan, for working that out. And again, thank you guys for coming on with us today. And thank you to everyone who is here with us today and hearing the stories of these amazing young Indigenous leaders who are advocating and continuing those advocacy journeys for our people and standing up for our people. And here's a way to contact us. So my email, and then you can learn more about CNAY and the Remembering Our Sisters program at our website, cnay.org. You can look in the what's new and view their recommendations. You can view their bios. And if at any point you want to reach out to them or work together, just let us know. Does anyone have any questions?
Hello, this is Dawn. Just remember, I was the host. I know these lovely ladies have taken over and done an excellent presentation. So if anybody has any questions, by all means, please enter it into the chat box, or you can raise your hand and you can unmute yourself when we call your name. So I hope you take advantage of asking questions of these ladies. I'm just curious, until people enter their questions, if all you fellows could let us know where you're in school and where you're at. I think a few of you mentioned them in the beginning, but if you could refresh our memories too. Cordelia, where do you go to school?
I go to school at the University of Oklahoma. I'm a graduate student in the Tribal Governance and Policy program, and I am finishing up my research actually over Indigenous community planning and the MMIP movement. So what I'm doing for my comprehensive exam is really tied in with my fellowship work, and I am graduating this spring, so
Congratulations.
thank you.
All right, thank you. Evan, you're in North Carolina, correct?
Yes, ma'am. I'm currently a student at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. I just finished my first year. I am undecided on a major, but this fellowship has really helped me to decide what direction I want to go in. Throughout the whole course of the work that we've done and the people that we've met and interacted with, we talked about how important and vital it is for us to use our individual gifts and honor that and honor ourselves in the work that we do. So I don't know what I'm going to end up majoring in, or even if I'll stay at Carolina, but I know in whatever work that I do, I want to continue to do work exactly like what this fellowship has laid the groundwork for.
Good, keep it up. Thank you. Lily? Oh,
Yeah, I'm also at OU with Cordelia. Like I said, I'm a double major. So I'm majoring in Native American studies. And then my emphasis in that area is like Indigenous futurism and media in the Indigenous community. And then I'm an English creative writing major and technically I have two minors also. So I also am a Spanish minor and a film and media studies minor. Boomer. Sooner.
That must be an Oklahoma thing. Yeah. All right. Thank you. And Cheyenne has to leave, but thank you, Cheyenne, for being here and definitely bringing these lovely ladies with you. So while she has to take off, we do have the fellows available for a little while anyways, correct? To answer questions. All right, so there was a question by Michelle. Will there be another fellowship on this topic hosted by Asine? And Cheyenne said yes. They're laying out the framework for year 2. So does anybody have any information on how you can apply and where to look for information? Besides, just go to the website.
I don't. Yeah. Oh,
Go ahead.
I don't know when it will officially launch, but the apps, they'll put them on the social media and on the website, and we'll probably all post them as well.
Okay. All righty. Any other questions from the audience? All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for presenting. You did a wonderful job, and you ladies really give us hope for the future. Can't wait to follow you and see what you're going to do after you finish school and you go on. And other than that, if you have questions, they did have the website up, and you can send the questions to Cheyenne. She did have her email up there earlier. I can put it in the chat box for you. Okay, so I have it in the chat box, and you can contact Cheyenne, and I hope you follow these lovely ladies in their journey for their advocacy on the MMIP issues. So thank you everybody for attending. I hope you have the lovely rest of your day, and we'll see you hopefully again in the future. Goodbye, everybody.